This is a graph that I put together for our council because everybody likes to see it at what's happening in their district. They want to know. So this was a snapshot, and it's been a while ago, but this is basically the stuff that I do to take to city council and say, look, council per council district, this is what we have. And it took a lot of beating my head against the microphone at city council to finally get people to understand that we have a problem. And unfortunately, by the time it was figured out, it was too late. We're exponential death. I mean, you cannot, the trees that we're treating right now are fine. We can keep treating them and saving them. But most of the trees that I have are in the 50% dead category or greater. Now, these are a couple communities in our area that I've been working with, that I've been trying to get them to help fund the treatment of some of their trees, because a lot of them have a smaller white ash trees that have been surviving very well. So this is a quadrant of my city. I broke it up into quadrants, and this is just to kind of bring it home to some residents, because I go and speak at a lot of different meetings around our city, beating the drum, trying to get people to try to start conserving some of our canopy. Now, there's 27,000 so planting sites, 16,000 of them have trees. 42% filled, 58% empty. The quad itself has 3,372 trees, ash trees. Out of the 16,000, 3,000 are ash, and we're only treating 332 of those, which is great for me. I think it's good because I was lucky to get that. But look at the loss of canopy that they're going to have if nobody else steps up. This is another community that actually was a proactive community, stepped forward, and I was working together with them, and they said, you know what, we don't know enough about this. We don't like dealing with contractors. And I said, well, let me do the contracts. I'll handle the contracts. I just need the funding to do it. So I went ahead and did the contracts for them. We went in, 206 street trees, 114 of those were ash. So the majority of them were ash, and they were all very healthy, doing very well. So we went in, I basically marked, I think, 38 trees total, 38 or 34 for removal, and the rest of them, that community ended up pulling money out of their budget, and they treated every single street tree. They paid to have the stumps taken out and new trees put in. So there is communities out there that are willing to step up, but I think they need people like us out there educating them and saying, look, this is coming, this is what we need to do. And it almost seems futile that you're beating your head against the wall for multiple times, but eventually at least one community or two communities, if we can get them to finally start coming around, I think there is hope there to save some of these ash trees. And I think it's important in the Chicagoland area, because as that map came up that he had up on earlier of the Chicagoland area and all the little dots on there, one of the things I noticed in Fort Wayne, we had two infestation sites, one in the north end, one in the south end. Well, and it moved relatively slow up until they coalesced. And once they coalesced into a front, it moved 3 times faster. Can you imagine what's going to happen in the Chicagoland area if nothing's done? All those dots coalesce. Do you realize the front that's going to move into the United States? Now, I'm not talking just Chicago. I'm talking about the rapid movement of this thing. Because once it becomes a solid front, it moves twice as fast as it does in these little pockets. So that in and of itself should spur some people, hopefully, to at least try to conserve some of their canopy, just to stop this front from forming and really taking over. Another Lakeshores edition. This is just throughout the city. This is normal. I mean, we have a high ash population in a lot of these areas. They have 457 trees, 159 ash. I mean, they're losing a large portion of their trees, treating 12 of them. So this is common throughout our entire city. And there's certain pockets, our northwest quadrant only has about 10% ash, and that was because that it was incorporated later into the city and we restricted them from planting any ash trees. So that's the only reason that they were probably 10%. These are my projections for 2012. I'm projecting to lose 5,000 ash trees along with my 500 that I normally lose. And so we're looking at a $1.6 million, and we're only being able to replace 30%. And I've kind of been told before I came that I may not be able to replace any because of budgetary issues. They may pull that money from planting and putting into removals because we have a liability issue that has to be handled first and primary. I have a few slides, and this is a slide Dr. Miller had, and this is one that I'm not going to take credit for. Our landscape architect put this together. This is a main thoroughfare coming into downtown Fort Wayne, and this is a Headwaters Park. It's a big park in our downtown area. Every single one of these trees is an ash. It's all autumn purple, I think, ash. And there's 157 total trees, and it's beautiful. I mean, and so what we did is we photoshopped them out, because that's what it's going to look like if they're not taken care of. Now, these are the ones that are a particular favorite of the mayor, so we've been treating them since '04. So they're alive and healthy. They're still being treated. They're still being soil injected. So there's still that product works. This is another picture, obviously, that you had, and this was, I just took this before I went to Worcester, and we had a meeting there. These trees are still going. They're still doing very well. Treatment is an option. It does work. I mean, just imagine all those trees being gone. And there's a large amount of concrete there, the heat island, the fact that everything else that goes along with shade. So this is a community, like I was talking before, that got hit by about 90%. That is an entrance into a school. All right, this is an elementary school. Kids walk here every single day. A large volume of kids walk right through these two entrances, these two sidewalks down to the school, which is on the left-hand side. And these trees are dead, hanging over everything, and this community was screaming volumes. You know, their children are in danger. They're going to get hit with a limb. What do you do? So we had to immediately go in and just start cutting trees. So this is the before picture. There they are, they're gone. Look at the massive difference. There they are. Gone. And this is 25% of my canopy is looking like this throughout our city. This is another major boulevard, Coldwater Road. It's a very big business district down towards the other end. These are all ash trees that line the street. And this was my explanation mark to City Council. I knew these trees were dying, and I let them go, and I let them die because nobody was listening to me. Nobody thought we had a problem that we could keep up. So my boss said, well, aren't you going to cut these trees? And I said, no, they're going to sit there. So I let them sit for 2 years until somebody said, hey, we got a lot of dead trees. Yeah, we do, don't we? So finally, this was one of the boulevards that caught people's attention because I had businesses complaining. Hey, we have dead trees here. This looks terrible. I got people that can't even, once they die and they sucker sprout from the bottom, you have a site obstruction problem. That's huge. I have a lot of, that's a maintenance issue that we're going out having to cut suckers off of a tree, but we don't have time to cut the tree. We got to just cut the suckers off and leave a dead tree and move on because we have so many other things that we're doing. These trees are now gone, though. They're removed, and we're replacing them they are replaced right now. We just planted them. Another picture of it. Obviously, there's power lines there. But see, the sucker sprouting is what's happening. That's very indicative of these trees, but it also causes site obstruction, major site obstruction problems. In some of these trees, even after you cut them, the stump will do that, and it'll become an ash shrub, and it just becomes a really big problem. These are other neighborhoods. Similar to Toledo even. I mean, this is repetitive over and over again. Tree-lined streets. This is not Toledo, this is Fort Wayne. It looks similar, but this is that community. And then most of the canopy that you see is actually private trees. There's not very many trees in there that are from the city standpoint that are still alive. This street right now is completely devoid of trees. There is no trees on that street. And that was a before picture of what it looked like prior to infestation. And there is some other street trees in there, maple and some other things, but the majority of it's ash as you work through there. And these are some of the crews cutting. I mean, that picture over there and then the picture on the left. And the debris removal is another huge issue. We had to indicate a log yard where we can dump all of our debris. People in closure of streets. I mean, you're closing entire streets down, trying to get these trees down safely. And the traffic flow issues are just tremendous. That's that Coldwater Road again. That left picture, those are ash trees. That's not winter. Those are dead. And that's coming. The exponential death phase will come. And it's all how everybody else decides that they want to be proactive or reactive. Because being reactive, that's what you're going to see. There's a van, she won't even park, she lives down the street. That's why I took that picture. This woman won't even park in front of her own home. She parks down the street, and see she has a lot of little kids indicating on the back of her van. And she just said, I'm not parking down there. You can see here on this front tree on the left, see that piece of bark that sheared off? On the left-hand side, there's a large piece of bark. And that was very indicative, especially in this neighborhood. They seem to be losing a lot of bark. And prior to the death of the trees, increasing the woodpecker activity was huge. And people were complaining because they were having to go out in their yards and rake up massive amounts of bark. I mean, garbage cans full of bark. So, and now they're just falling off in sheets. Another picture of that. These are pictures of our removal process right now. A lot of people, talk about the massive issue with removals. And yes, the removal process is massive, but if you're the person sitting at the desk that has to deal with the phone calls on a day-to-day basis coming from an operation like this, I can't even go out of the office for an hour. I'll have 30 voicemails, literally in an hour, of people either complaining because their tree didn't get cut, or a limb fell and broke their car, or they're blocking my driveway. I mean, exponential death, exponential problems. And they're things that you just don't think of. And that's what I have. Any quick questions?
Public safety thing is certainly critical. That's probably the most important thing the government does. You mentioned that you had a couple limbs crash through windshields of cars. Have you had any people hurt yet?
No. We have not had any personal injuries yet. We had a limb that sheared.
Personal injuries other places?
In terms of trees itself, due to ash trees? No, we have not. Luckily yet. We did have a tree that sheared a limb, hit a car, had a resident in the car when it hit. Did not injure the person. But how close do you want to be? I mean, that's close. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, one more.
When you made the decision to treat trees, if we're looking at white ash, and then where in that spectrum of diameter class were you looking at the greater? Is that what you were looking at?
Initially, my first thought process was the greater the diameter, the larger the tree, the better the green benefits. You're getting most bang for your buck. You want to save that tree. But as we know that depending on the products you use, you have to watch the diameter classes of what, in terms of control value.
You were looking at where the greater amounts of diameter classes were like 12.
Right, 12 to 16 inch diameter class was my largest class, so that's where I chose. That way I could spread it out more throughout the city. I could get more done. So, thank you.